Hello, everybody. I think I want to talk about the three patriarchs again, or at least I want to talk about the essential difference that I've noticed between the Jewish Kabbalah and Christian Kabbalah. Now, I want to say that this is just something that is created from my own mind. It springs from my own mind, so take it with a grain of salt. It's just a video of exploration in a sense, just following the thought and mapping things out as we go along to gain a greater understanding of what all of these things mean, right? Now, the reason why I want to focus on the three patriarchs is because there is some sort of alignment with Crowley's three eons. I mean, it looks like an overlap that Crowley decided to change, but I don't quite know why or how it was changed yet. So the idea that exists within the Kabbalah is that attached to the letter Shin, we have the three major pillars. And these pillars are in turn represented by the three patriarchs. So we have Abraham, who represents Chesed, and therefore the pillar of kindness. We have Isaac, son of Abraham, represented by Gevurah, and therefore the pillar of severity. And finally we have Jacob, son of Isaac, and later named Israel, as the pillar of mildness. So the name Israel is most likely derived from Yashar, meaning upright. Sarah denotes a ruling body, and El, meaning God. Or Yashar within the Zohar is described as the light of God that is directly transmitted to us, as seen in this very image. Malchut, our physicality, and the kingdom is depicted as a vessel, able to receive and hold God's light. Sharar means to be hard or firm, and Sarah means a ruling body, such as a senate or a princess. It is here probably that the idea of Shekhinah can be deduced, as Israel is likely comprised of the word Sarah, but another idea might be the essence of Eve, because of her name in Hebrew, Chava, seems to narrowly align with the essence of Chaya, the soul essence tied to the highest realm, namely that of Absolute, the world of emanation. And although I can't really know for certain, it's compelling for me to think that this may be why we have nowadays Lilith, Eve, but also Shekhinah. But none of these speak of actual women, but rather abstract concepts. And most probably she, and by that I mean Eve, reveals the birth of the higher soul of Adam as a companion for him. Eve was shaped from a higher source, namely Chaya, and Adam was only fashioned from clay. And that's very controversial, I know, but it warrants some investigation. Anyway, so in essence, it means that the idea of Israel means to be upright and firm as a ruling body within the kingdom, to receive God's light and to become the bride of God, namely Shekhinah. And as explained in a different video, it may be that the world card in tarot clearly hints after this very idea of Israel, as we can find Israel and Jerusalem as the center of the world within many instances throughout Jewish and Christian history. Its path on the Tree of Life takes us to the story of Ezekiel, and here too Ezekiel refers to Israel as a girl, or in tarot terms as a princess. And the princess is placed in Malchut, and the prince, whom is in Tiferet, seeks to connect with her at all times. And when this is successful, prophecy occurs. All of this is discussed within the Ezekiel videos that I did. It goes into more detail about the Shechakim, the sparrow dealing with prophecy, namely Hod and Netzach. The state of Israel, which didn't exist at the time of the creation of the tarot or Kabbalah, is most likely hinting after the heavenly Israel. And this heavenly Israel most likely refers to Tiferet, which is the lower part of heaven, whereas Bina is considered the upper part of heaven. Now, I understand from more or less a shallow point of view that something is a bit different for Christians because they consider God to be a God of living things or something to that degree. And so the role of the patriarchs is a bit different, for they are named as alive rather than dead. This is not the case in Jewish tradition, and I have yet to understand the true meaning behind this. But I happen to take note of the difference. And I think because Jacob resembles Tiferet so closely, the Sfera that is primarily responsible for establishing a connection with Malchut through Yesod, respectively, that we can think or speak of his offspring, his people, let's say, quite literally. For Yesod actually resembles the sex organs. But for Christians, the importance of Jacob is more or less replaced by the Son, meaning God himself. And this is a very interesting shift. So the offspring of Christ is more of a spiritual affair rather than a genetic one. And in the Kabbalah and the arrangement of the tree of life, the shift is also immediately palpable. In another video, I go somewhat in detail about how Tiferet resembles a reflection of Keter. Keter is essentially unavailable to us. As human beings, we'd not be able to perceive nor survive God's light in full glory. This is relayed through a story that establishes the creation of the tree of death, where the very first created vessels were shattered under the sheer power of God's light. Instead, the tree of life that came after is a measured and careful response from the Creator to us, so that we may bear witness to his presence throughout our life and not succumb to his overwhelming power. Tiferet is therefore more or less considered like a prism. It holds the ability to divert and rearrange the light in ways that is palatable to us. And I think to some degree that intuitively it refers to the idea of a firmament, and the stars, the moon and the sun show us light that is measured and ultimately sustains life. So they probably folded this curious idea into the metaphysical, that in order for us to be sustained, yet also perceive God, but we cannot actually see him, he needed to find a way to not overwhelm his creation. Anyway, because Tiferet is a reflection of Keter, we see the placement of Jesus, the Son, which is Tiferet, aptly describing who Jesus truly was, the Son of God, a reflection of Keter. From Tiferet to Keter, we see the high priestess and the letter Gimel. She was clearly inspired by the Virgin Mary in Christian Kabbalah, and eventually the Tarot, and very unlikely tells us a story about the Annunciation of Gabriel. She, first the high priestess, then the empress, gave birth to God in the flesh. So from all of this, I think we can safely conclude that Jacob appears to be very concerned with Malchut, the physicality of things. Yet I think for the Christian discipline, Jesus is more concerned with Keter, the spiritual realm of things. And I find this a super interesting schism to investigate further.